My name is Jacob Thompson, and this all happened on a cold December night in 2023. I was serving in the military, stationed overseas in a conflict zone far from home. The events I'm about to share changed me forever, not just because I faced death, but because what I saw beyond it shook me to my core. I never imagined I would come back with a message meant for the world, a message from Jesus himself about what lies ahead in 2025. It was a moment when time felt like it stood still, and my whole life flashed before me. But what happened next was beyond any nightmare or hope I'd ever had. I want to tell you exactly how it happened, the things I saw, and the urgent warnings I was given. This isn't just my story. It's a call for everyone to listen and prepare for what's coming. That night started like any other mission. We were on patrol, moving cautiously through a narrow mountain pass. I was with my unit, close to my brothers in arms, when an explosion ripped through the silence. I remember feeling a sharp, burning pain, and then darkness swallowing me whole. In that instant, my body was left behind, but my consciousness didn't fade. Suddenly, I was somewhere else, a place of light, so bright it didn't hurt my eyes, but filled me with peace unlike anything I'd ever known. I could see figures moving in this light, and then, unmistakably, I saw him, Jesus Christ. He wasn't the image I had in my mind from books or paintings. He was more real, more powerful, and yet full of love. He looked at me with eyes that seemed to see into my soul. There was no fear, only overwhelming calm. He spoke to me, not with words but directly into my mind, sharing visions of the future, events that would shake the earth and awaken many hearts, but also trials that would test faith and courage like never before. Jesus showed me cities engulfed in unrest, natural disasters unlike anything recorded in history, and people searching desperately for meaning amidst chaos. He told me about a spiritual awakening on a scale the world hasn't seen for centuries, a rising wave of believers who would spread hope and truth even when darkness seemed to win. But he also warned of deception, division, and a time when faith would be challenged by forces trying to pull humanity away from the light. He revealed that the year 2025 would be a turning point, a moment when choices would shape the fate of nations and the souls of millions. I saw flashes of people coming together, praying, and fighting for what is right, but I also saw many falling into fear and despair. Jesus made it clear, this future is not fixed. The actions of each person can change what's to come. My mission was to come back, to share what I saw, and to urge everyone to prepare spiritually and mentally for the battles ahead. I came back with a fire in my heart and a heavy burden to warn others about what lies beyond the veil. Coming back to my body was like waking from the deepest sleep. The pain in my chest was intense, and I could hear the shouts and chaos of the battlefield around me. Medics rushed in, stabilizing me, but I was different, changed. I felt a new purpose coursing through me, a message burning in my soul that I had to deliver. In the weeks that followed, I struggled to find the right words to describe what I had experienced. Many doubted me. Some thought I was broken from the trauma. But I knew the truth. I had touched eternity, and what I was tasked with sharing could help save lives, not just physically but eternally. My story is not just about death. It's about life, hope, and the power of faith when everything else falls apart. I'm sharing this with you now, hoping it reaches those who need it most. This message is urgent. It's about what we must do today to prepare for the storms of tomorrow. If you believe, if you're searching for hope in dark times, this story is for you. From the moment I regained consciousness in that hospital bed, everything about my life changed. The sterile white walls and the beeping machines around me were a harsh contrast to the peace and light I'd just experienced. Yet, that light lingered inside me, burning brighter with every passing day. I knew that what I had seen was not just a dream or hallucination. It was a divine encounter that carried a purpose far greater than my own survival. The faces of my fellow soldiers, the families waiting back home, even strangers on the street. They all felt connected to this mission I was given. Every conversation I had, every quiet moment alone, I kept hearing the message Jesus had impressed upon me. Prepare your hearts, spread hope, and stand firm in faith, because the coming times will test us all in ways we cannot yet imagine. I tried to put into words the visions I'd witnessed, but it was like trying to describe a new color to someone who had never seen it. The scenes of destruction and chaos were vivid. The sky darkening with storms that swallowed entire cities, the earth trembling with earthquakes that tore through foundations, and people crying out for mercy amidst floods and fires. But even more haunting were the spiritual battles unfolding in those visions. I saw how easily fear could twist hearts and how many would be tempted to turn away from the light. At the same time, I saw sparks of faith burning fiercely, like small flames that refused to be extinguished. These were ordinary people, mothers, fathers, children, coming together in prayer and courage, holding on to hope when it seemed all was lost. Jesus showed me these moments not to scare me, but to remind me that the power to change the future lies in every one of us. We are called to be those flames in the darkness, to shine so brightly that the shadows cannot consume us. Returning to my unit after my recovery was difficult. Many had questions, some whispered doubts, and others were silent, unsure what to believe. I struggled with the weight of the secret I carried. How do you tell someone you've met Jesus face to face? How do you explain the responsibility of knowing the future without sounding crazy? But slowly, I began sharing my testimony, not just as a story of near death, but as a message of hope and preparation. I spoke to my fellow soldiers about faith and courage, about standing strong when the world seems to crumble. And I started to understand something vital. This mission wasn't mine alone. It was a call to every person listening now, a call to awaken, to pray, to prepare spiritually and mentally for what's coming. We are entering a time when the line between light and darkness will be clearer than ever, and every choice will matter. The message Jesus gave me was simple but profound. Do not lose hope. No matter how bad the news might seem, there is always light shining in the darkness. He showed me that even in the worst storms, His love remains constant, unwavering. The year 2025 will be a time of great challenge, but also great awakening, when the world will see miracles and face trials like never before. He urged me to tell people to seek Him, to open their hearts, and to prepare not just for the outside battles, but the spiritual ones within. This message is urgent because the future is not set in stone. It is shaped by our faith, our actions, and our willingness to stand for what is right. I share this testimony with humility, knowing that I was chosen to carry this burden and hope that it stirs something deep inside every listener. It is a call to courage, to faith, and to love, the very things that can change the course of history and save souls in the days ahead. When I first told my family about what I had seen and experienced, their reactions ranged from disbelief to deep concern. My wife, Sarah, was scared, not just for me physically, but for my mental and spiritual well-being. We had always been close, sharing a faith that sustained us through difficult times, but this was something different. I could see the weight of what I carried in her eyes, the worry that came from not fully understanding a reality she couldn't see. Yet, she stood by me, prayed with me, and encouraged me to keep sharing the message. My children, too young to grasp the full gravity of what I was saying, sensed the change in me. I became quieter at times, lost in thought, as the visions replayed in my mind. But through all this, I realized something crucial. The message I had been given wasn't just for the battlefield or my family. It was for the whole world. It was meant to reach people I would never meet, to inspire hope and courage in hearts across every corner of the earth. One of the hardest parts of this journey has been dealing with the skepticism and criticism from others. Some called me delusional, others said I was seeking attention, and a few even questioned my faith. Those moments were painful, but they reminded me why this message matters so much. Jesus told me that the road ahead would be difficult, that many would reject the truth or turn away in fear. But he also promised that those who hold fast to their faith will be strengthened, that the Holy Spirit would guide and protect us through the darkest times. This promise has been my anchor, my source of strength when doubt tries to creep in. I've learned that sharing a story like mine requires courage, not just the courage to speak, but the courage to stand firm when others don't understand. And I believe that if you're listening now, you have that same courage inside you, waiting to be awakened. As the year 2025 approaches, I feel the urgency of this mission more than ever. The signs Jesus showed me, political unrest, natural disasters, spiritual awakenings, are beginning to manifest around us. I see people waking up to the reality that we are living in extraordinary times, that something bigger than ourselves is at work. The warnings I was given are not meant to frighten, but to prepare us, to remind us that no matter what happens, we are never alone. Jesus is with us, walking beside us, offering strength and hope. He wants us to be beacons of light in a world that desperately needs it. We are called to love, to forgive, and to stand up for truth, even when it's hard. This is not the time to hide or give in to despair. It is the time to rise and be the people God created us to be. The future is still unfolding, and your faith can shape it in ways you might never have imagined. I know this testimony might challenge your beliefs or raise questions you've never considered before. That's okay. My prayer is that it inspires you to seek the truth for yourself, to open your heart to the possibility of something greater than what we see with our eyes. The message I bring is one of hope, but it requires action, prayer, reflection, and a commitment to live with faith and courage every day. If you take anything away from my story, let it be this: you are not alone, and there is a purpose for you in the times ahead. Together, we can face the challenges coming our way, strengthened by the love and guidance of Jesus Christ. I urge you to prepare, to believe, and to share this message with others. The world needs it now more than ever. Please like, share, and subscribe to help spread these true stories of faith and hope, so that together we can make a difference before it's too late. There was a moment during my recovery when I found myself alone in the hospital chapel. The silence around me was thick, almost oppressive, but it was also a place where I could finally wrestle with everything I'd seen. I remember kneeling down and pouring out my heart, asking why I was given this glimpse of the future, why I was spared when so many others weren't. I felt overwhelmed by the responsibility, by the weight of knowing what was coming. It was in that quiet moment that I felt a presence wrap around me, a reassurance that I was not alone in this mission. Jesus' words echoed in my mind again. You are a messenger, a beacon for those who will walk through darkness. That night, something shifted inside me. I wasn't just a soldier who survived. I was someone chosen to carry a message of hope, no matter the cost. As I began to share my story more publicly, I encountered people whose lives were touched in ways I never expected. I heard from parents worried about their children, from people struggling with fear and doubt, from those desperate for reassurance that their faith still mattered. Their stories fueled my own faith and gave me courage. I saw firsthand how the message of light and warning could inspire change, how people began praying and preparing not just for themselves, but for their communities. This was exactly what Jesus had shown me, a ripple effect of hope spreading across the world, a rising tide of believers ready to stand strong in the face of uncertainty. It reminded me that no matter how dark the night might get, dawn is always coming. One of the clearest warnings I received during my near-death experience was about deception. Jesus warned me about false prophets and misleading voices that would try to confuse and divide people during these critical times. I saw how easy it would be for people to be led astray by promises of peace and safety that were only illusions. It was heartbreaking to witness the struggle for souls, to know that not everyone would choose the path of truth and light. But there was also a powerful reminder that no matter how many fall, there will always be a remnant, a faithful group who remain steadfast, who hold on to their beliefs and fight for what is right. That remnant, Jesus said, would be the foundation for a new spiritual awakening, a movement that would change the world. Now, as I look forward to 2025, I urge everyone listening to open their hearts and minds. The coming year is a pivotal moment in history, filled with challenges, but also incredible opportunities for renewal and faith. It's a time to deepen your relationship with God, to seek His guidance, and to be ready to stand firm no matter what comes. The message I bring is not just my own. It's a call from Jesus to prepare, to pray, and to live with courage. If you feel stirred by this testimony, if you sense a tug in your heart, don't ignore it. Reach out, seek community, find strength in your faith, and share this message with others. Together, we can face what's ahead with hope, knowing that love and light will ultimately triumph. Please like, share, and subscribe to keep hearing these true stories that can change lives. Your faith can be the light someone else desperately needs right now. I want to take you back to the exact moment when everything changed, when I crossed that line between life and death and came face to face with a reality beyond this world. It was a morning like any other during my deployment, but it quickly turned into the day that would redefine everything I believed about life, death, and faith. I was on a routine patrol when the explosion hit. The world went dark instantly, and pain unlike anything I'd ever known flooded my body. In that moment, everything slowed down. I felt myself drifting away, and suddenly, I was no longer in pain. I was somewhere else, somewhere peaceful, bathed in a light so pure it was almost overwhelming. I could feel love surrounding me, a warmth that healed every wound and silenced every fear. And then I saw Him, Jesus Christ, standing there with eyes full of compassion and strength, looking directly into my soul. He didn't need words to communicate. His presence alone spoke volumes. I understood, without a doubt, that I was being given a second chance, a chance to bring back a message that could save others. Jesus showed me visions of the future, scenes of turmoil, but also of hope. He revealed the spiritual battles that humanity would face in the coming year, 2025, a year that would test every heart and soul. The world, He showed me, would experience upheaval, but it would also be a time of awakening, where many would turn to faith like never before. I saw the pain, the fear, and the confusion, but I also saw the resilience of those who trusted in God's plan. This wasn't just a glimpse into the future. It was a call to action, a divine mission to prepare others for what's coming. When I returned to my body, the transition was jarring. I woke up in the hospital, surrounded by medical staff, machines, and the sterile smell of antiseptic. My body was broken, but my spirit was somehow stronger. It took time to recover physically, but the real challenge was processing what I had seen and felt. I kept replaying the encounter in my mind, trying to understand its meaning. I felt an urgency to share this story, but I also feared how it would be received. Would people believe me? Would they dismiss my experience as a hallucination? Despite the doubts and fears, I knew I couldn't stay silent. The message was too important, and the world needed to hear it. So, I began to tell my story, first to my family, then to my friends, and eventually to strangers who were willing to listen. Over time, I realized that this message wasn't just about predicting disasters or warning about hard times. It was about faith, hope, and love. Jesus showed me that no matter how dark things might get, His light remains constant. The trials ahead are meant to strengthen us, to refine our faith, and to bring us closer to Him. The challenges of 2025 are real, but so is the promise of salvation and renewal for those who believe. I've come to understand that my near-death experience was not just a personal encounter, but a divine commission. I am here to remind you that you are never alone, that God is always with us, guiding us through the storms of life. This testimony is my gift to you, a reminder to hold fast to your faith, to prepare your heart, and to be a light in the darkness for others. If this story touches your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to help spread these powerful messages of hope and faith. Together, we can face the future with courage, knowing that love will always triumph. I remember the first few days after coming back to life vividly, though the memories are tinged with a strange mixture of gratitude and heaviness. The doctors called it a miracle that I survived, but to me, it felt like I had been given a purpose far beyond just living. Every moment was a reminder that I had walked through death's door and returned with a message I couldn't ignore. I was discharged from the hospital, but my journey was just beginning. I had to reconcile my ordinary life with the extraordinary experience I had lived through. Friends and family noticed changes in me. I was quieter, more introspective, and sometimes distant as I wrestled with the overwhelming revelations Jesus had shared with me. But there was also a new fire inside me, a determination to use this second chance to make a difference. My job as a soldier had always been about protecting others, but now my mission was spiritual as well as physical. I felt called to share what I had seen, to prepare others for the coming trials, and to offer hope that no matter what happens, God's love endures. One of the most profound lessons I learned during my time beyond this world was the absolute certainty of God's presence. When Jesus appeared to me, his love was tangible. There was no judgment, no condemnation, only acceptance and encouragement. I saw that even in the darkest moments, we are never abandoned. This reassurance became my anchor as I faced the skepticism and doubt of those around me. I heard people question my sanity, label my experience as fantasy, and sometimes outright dismiss my warnings. But Jesus had prepared me for this. He told me that many would reject the truth, but that those who seek God with sincere hearts would find him. This made me realize that faith is a personal journey, one that requires courage to hold on to when the world around you seems uncertain or hostile. I also learned that part of my mission was to pray for those who doubted, to be patient and compassionate, and to lead by example rather than argument. It was a humbling but empowering realization that sometimes the greatest impact we can have is through love and quiet perseverance. As I shared my story with more people, I began to notice a pattern. Those who were willing to listen often felt a stirring deep within their hearts. They began asking questions about their own faith, about the signs we might expect in the coming year, and about how to prepare spiritually and practically for what's ahead. Jesus showed me many of these signs during my experience: global conflicts, natural disasters, and spiritual awakenings, and he urged me to warn others to be vigilant and steadfast. But more importantly, he emphasized the need for love and unity among believers. In a world that often feels divided and uncertain, this message is more critical than ever. We are called to come together, to support each other, and to be lights of hope in our communities. The future is unpredictable, but with faith as our foundation, we can face it without fear. Finally, I want to say this to anyone watching. If you feel moved by my story, if you have questions or doubts, don't be afraid to seek answers. God is real, and he is waiting for you with open arms. The coming year will test us all, but it is also a time of incredible opportunity for growth and renewal. My prayer is that my testimony inspires you to open your heart, to trust in God's plan, and to live each day with faith and courage. If you believe in the power of these true stories and want to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can build a community of hope, prepare for the future, and shine the light of Christ in a world that needs it now more than ever. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you on your journey.